make as many mistakes as you can. Just try not to make the same mistake a second time. The teacher said, well, first of all, you're never going to make it because you're too tall, you're too impetuous, and you don't do what everyone else is doing. I like things to be now. I'm not about the journey, I'm about the destination. Falling 100 times, but then landing once and going, okay, now I get it. And that once informs how you fall 20 times the next time rather than 40 times. Talent is great, but talent does things because they can, not because they know how. We didn't start out because we wanted to go to the Olympics. We found something that gave us a thrill. And that thrill, as long as that thrill is there, you can succeed. And that has nothing to do with money. If you want something badly enough, you'll figure out how to do it. And I threw my leg out and I went to step on it and it wasn't there. And I literally clawed off the ice, and that was the second surgery. I would have ended up in Holiday on Ice. I would have ended up performing. I would have ended up coaching, regardless of what happened at the Olympics. That thing with those things on my feet in my, as I call it, my happy place, and my white canvas, wasn't going to go away, and I didn't need the Olympics to make that happen. The judges are there for free. The audience are the ones who are paid to see you because they're the skating fans. Skate for them and make the judges think they've missed something. The most important visual I will ever have, and that was team leader, 2 coaches, parents, brother, because those are the people without whom I wouldn't have been on that podium.
Was there any points during the period of filming over there 3 to 5 years that you just feel, I'm never going to get this done?
That was a discussion after the first day. As a creative, you're always looking to kind of do things that people haven't necessarily done in quite that way before, and kind of challenge the status quo a bit, which we really did with Vindication Swim. I suppose failure is really just sort of a convoluted route to success. That there's a job that needs to be done that I want to do, and I'm going to try and do that by any means available, really. I mean, there's no other experience, I don't think, other than theatre, that kind of comes close, as you're sat in a dark room with a load of strangers you've never met before and you're never going to meet again. It's sharing a kind of communal experience, but at the same time it's all a different experience of watching this, something up on the big screen, and there's just a kind of magic to that, which is why it's fantastic that it's going to be out on the 8th of March, International Women's Day, in cinemas around the UK, up on the big screen. It's incredible. It's every filmmaker's dream, really, to have their movie in a cinema. I think there was kind of an ethos on the film of kind of, we would think, what would Mercedes do? I mean, I had the time of my life making this film. It was fantastic. Yeah, it was an incredible experience, and one that I'll definitely cherish.
Lead people, manage processes. Don't manage people. I've laid awake at night thinking, oh my God, we need more business, we're barely scratching by. And then I've also laid awake at night thinking, God, it's really busy, but the cash flow's rubbish, how am I going to pay the wages, all of those. I know what that feels like. Say yes, don't say no, because if you say no, the opportunity's gone. And I always treated the failure bit as, right, what have I learned? I was straight into, right, what have I learned? Where could I improve the car? Where am I going to find that time? Here's another little trick. You're going to a meeting, you're a small businessman, get there first, be in the meeting room first, have your chair and your jacket over the back of it. They're joining your meeting. What do I need? What do I need to be really fit for the business I'm running? What does the business need to be really fit? Where are the incremental gains in the business? I've had some ill health since last July, which has had a really pretty big impact on me. I tried to still do that daily thing of getting up and going, right, it's a new day, I've got to try and improve a bit today. So I was doing, I couldn't walk, and it was pathetic. I got up, I could walk around the flat twice and I was done in, things like that. And then the next morning I got up and I did it again. And I tried not to think about anything other than today. I love my life, I love my job, and I'm happy in my skin. And I wouldn't be like this if I changed anything.
We worked with a Man United player, and just by engaging with his fans, he went from 6 million views to 57.5 million views in a month. So we grew his engagement in a month from 661,000 to 4.1 million. Because I've always felt like I'm a bit of, can I swear?
Yeah.
I thought with the purpose of a bit of a fucking loser. I never really understood why. Like, why can't I get some stuff? The default setting for me is waking up thinking I'm pathetic, I'm a loser, I'm an idiot, unsuccessful, and not being able to achieve anything in my life. getting that confidence of actually don't say no to everything, start saying yes to everything, brought me out of my shell and allowed me to kind of try and push the boundaries of what my achievements could be.
So
Not even 1% of Instagram users actually use the platform as it properly should be used. They just view. Our platform, 65% of our users engage. So focused on making sure I'm successful, I'm not doing it at the detriment of the sacrifice of my relationship with my children and my family. Dear Santa, I'd like a puppy, I'd like an electric guitar, all this sort of stuff. And there was another letter. He said, write another letter to your mum and dad. And I go, okay, fine. He goes, Mum, I'd just like to spend some more time with you. Could you put your phone down? That sort of stuff. I just want to spend more time with you. And this is going to get me again. Would you, which letter would you rather send? And every single one of them said, to my mum and dad. And I said, look, I think this is time for me to get another job. I think there's no more money left. That's it. No more. And she went to me, I've never not believed in you, but I think for the first time this may be the end of the line. This strike's not going to happen. 3 minutes later, I get a WhatsApp message on a Friday night saying, Tim, I'm on a mission to make the world a better place for my children, for your children, and for future generations.
They're only a leader in terms of the relationships with other people. You're only having influence in your relationships with other people. So leadership is in relationships, it's not in a person. Roffey Park, we still run a Masters in People and Organisational Development, so change management with a set of values at its heart. That changed my life. You can't get a higher education without playing by the rules. You can bend them a bit, you can challenge them a bit, but you can't break them. Your measure of success is not how well your students think critically, or they're able to see things critically, or that you've developed their curiosity. It's have they managed to churn out a lot of information. This is the thing about this collusion thing, is we all want something, and we all agree, and yet we feel powerless to change any of it. And when I was studying, we talked about a paradox called detached engagement. At the heart of it, what it means is this ability to bring ourselves to a situation and influence change through how we show up. And we do that by noticing how we show up and being flexible in how we do that. When we're learning to be leaders, it's not about us per se, individually. It's about the nature of our relationships with other people.
If I said that, what does soulful leadership mean to you?
How we are able to be in relationship to other people in the here and now. Because I think the beauty of human existence is in our everyday experience. When we meet human beings and we're able to, for want of a better word, love each other in a context where we've hardly met, and warm to each other and explore things with each other, engage with each other's curiosity in the here and now. That's what we're about, and that's soulful living, if you like, for me. Let go of the past, don't worry too much about the future, and be here means we can love others and allow others to love us better. And I think that's what success is.
So yes, we are definitely all capable of that mindset, and mindset is everything. I'm definitely driven now, but I think it's from within, and it's personal. It's not about proving myself or receiving any accolades. Keep pushing into the stretch zone, because that's where the energy, motivation, focus, connecting with ourselves and others, all that lovely juicy stuff happens. Yeah, as well as a little bit of anxiety and fear and feeling a bit sick or worried or nervous. Yeah, fine, that's life, bring it on. And it was how rich we were in life rather than in money. And for me, success is being present. In the positive psychology world, we're talking less these days about the meaning of life or the purpose of life, and more about what matters. Got hundreds of Ukrainians, and if you make eye contact with them all, you are crying all day. We went and served pizza in a little wooded village that had been occupied. So the Russians had come in, and then they set up a kind of sniper on the crossroads of the village, and the local school teacher, female, got shot at this crossroads, and nobody could get her. I still choose to go there. It's dangerous and it's hard. I choose to go to South Pole. I choose to go sailing around the world, even though I've never sailed before, because my life has been quite easy, and we are privileged and we are lucky and all that. but I choose to make it harder and tougher because I know it's good for me. I'm really happy with my life. I've got a lovely balance. I think I've got a good perspective, and I know that I enjoy doing adventures. I know that it's good for me.
You can imagine having been all of my life in very good, well-earning positions, suddenly fighting tooth and nail for my home. So I grew up in South Africa during a time of immense political and social change, as you can imagine. Nobody will do what you say just because you're telling them. You actually have to empower them. You have to coach them. You need to mentor people so that they understand what's in it for them and they grow on the inside. Really, the rock bottom for me came with relationship breakdowns. I felt so unhappy within myself. I knew that there was more that I could do with my life. I knew that I deserved to be more happy, but I wasn't happier. So I believed that success was working hard, and I was prepared to put my back into it. And I thought that the harder I worked, the more successful I would be. Being quite honest with ourselves when we wake up in the morning and when we go to bed at night is, how was my day and how is my life actually really doing, is probably one of the bravest things that we can do. Success for me is being my best self, cherishing each moment and having a clear understanding of my strengths and the direction that I want to move in, both in my work and life. We can't really control the future, and we can't control how other people perceive us. We can only control ourselves. So if being present helps you to do that, it can only enhance your journey.
But I am absolutely angry as hell that in 2024 we are having to swim amongst sewage. And there's the old saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast, and it does if you've got the culture wrong. But the most important thing is you've got to be winning in your marketplace. So you make money from being competitive in your marketplace. But what you do with the success and the proceeds is really important. Like getting the culture right, and I can talk a bit more about that, is so important. Communication. One of the key qualities that a CEO needs, or any leader, you might be a divisional head or head of a particular geography, is communication. And I encourage my team to be accessible. I had no time for petty politics. What I got off on building highly performant teams and having some sort of strong sense of purpose as to what we were coming to work for every day. Those people who brought their real authentic selves, who weren't very nice people, I don't think they really survive in business. If you want to make people happy, don't become a leader, go sell ice creams. Being a leader, I don't think it's all about keeping everybody happy all the time, because you can't do it. Context is everything. You've got to understand the context of that company. Be flexible with your mental model. If your mental model doesn't change and it's not succeeding, you will go bust. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And I said, Tony, I get that, but I think the bit in the middle is bloody important as well, which is the journey. Happiness is wanting what you've already got.
I woke up one night, in the middle of the night, as a 4-year-old May, go to the door, and my house was full of police, and there would have been ambulance people, and my dad had just tried to kill my mum. He would become violent with my brother, and also on occasion with me. And those memories are utterly horrific. He'd actually stolen loads of money as a chartered accountant, got found out, and then decided the way to resolve that was to kill my mother and then kill my brother and I. So the other part of this story is when I was 8 years old, his mother killed herself. So I imagine that was part of what triggered his inability to cope. I pretty much became an addict of marijuana. I also tried other drugs. So I had a nervous breakdown when I was 18. I didn't understand how people smiled. I hit a rock bottom of what on earth am I doing with my life. I remember leaving India, and it was like it was my soul speaking to me, and it was crying, going, you can't go on like this. I lost the career I didn't want, and my dad within 4 days of each other. And that was the end of my life as I knew it. I was on my knees, and it was like, please just show me, how do I stay alive? And that was the moment. The intention was there to do right by them. And it always was. And that is love. That is the power of love. That's my life. I am a pattern changer. They are the container and internal scaffolding for the way you put one foot in front of the other. This is when I want to cry. This is when I want to cry my eyes out, because you're here saying, where is the evidence, as people do, where is the evidence? And that it can really be so simple, and that we are so wrong. Everybody tells a story. Is like, I look at the mechanics of your body. Your emotion, is energy in motion. That's what emotion is. Anyone who has any type of chronic pain, emotional or physical, you are the one that you're looking for. You are the one that with the right guidance will be able to realign the structures in your body, to realign the way you move and the way you think and the way you feel. When you feel in to the power of correctly aligned biomechanics, you will experience yourself as someone you've never experienced yourself as being. The gift of enlightenment is to truly feel free in your body and to feel alignment in your body.
He called me aside. He said, "Nash, I'm really sorry, but I was averaging 10." He said, "You're not playing." 9 games into the season, and I thought that was the end of my career. I think traumas and times when it doesn't go well, they really shape who you are.
Really?
Age of 10, I wanted to play professional cricket. I was judged by the number of runs I scored that day, and that would dictate my self-worth. He just called me in that evening, and he said, "Look, I think you can play, but it's either you go for it or you don't." He said, "You might as well go and enjoy yourself at uni or try and be a pro cricketer." Peter Moores and Chris Adams called me in and said, "You're not there yet. We think you could open the batting for Sussex." I went to Australia for 6 months, just batted all day, every day, just batted. Came back within 2 years, I was kind of opening the batting for Sussex. When you're in a tough time, it has to come from within. It's very difficult for someone to say to you, "Go on, go and perform." That doesn't happen. We're the most successful team in the country, for quite a small club, which was amazing. It was a really special time to be involved in Sussex cricket, on and off the pitch. Yeah, I think being able to go into whatever you do and leave it in a better place, I think that's a really good thing. People forget your stats quite quickly, but they kind of remember how you made them feel. Leaving pro sport, especially, can be really messy. A lot of people struggle, in a lot of ways. As soon as I finished playing cricket, the relationships I built during that 20 years came out of the woodwork and supported me through that first bit. Retiring from cricket, and then when he was diagnosed with cancer, and then having the ability to get up early and work, and then go and spend the afternoon with him, was the sporting side is obviously something that really mattered at the time, but actually the people side is something that will live with you forever.
My job security had collapsed, my relationship had collapsed, and my friendship circle had collapsed. Nothing seemed certain. So that was a dark time. Part of my journey, which it informs everything else I've got involved in, is that question, what is our relationship to that greater force, that greater power? What is it all about? And to me, love and life-giving energy are the same thing, that there is this greater force. And what we are here to do is co-create. So that landed me hugely in debt, £60,000 in debt, which with a young family was like terrifying at the time. But for me, there's 3 pillars for any entrepreneur's success. Knowledge dispels fear. When you know you can do something, you are less afraid of it. And how do we avoid the dark dog depressions of life? Because I know those very well. It's what we all crave. We need someone to go, "I am just here with you. I still love you even though you're struggling." This is the message of all the great religions. This is sort of the message of Joseph Campbell in The Hero's Journey, the ultimate realization. Most of us are living with that condition. When I get there, I can be happy, and it never happens. Because the reality is, happiness can only ever be experienced in this moment now. Find where your energy lifts.
Find what stirs you. Going over there looks promising, let's try it. Not because when I get there I'll be happy, because this is a path I want to walk. Let's enjoy the journey, because I believe our richest experiences of life are the degree to which we can share love.
This is so important. I'm glad you asked me
Yeah,
this, because this is what I love to talk about.
Yeah.
So science and research tells us there's a critical window of the first 1001 days from conception to 2. And so when I said I'm giving up, 7 years studying at law school to teach baby massage, there's a few little eyebrows raised about that, because I knew that the corporate finance wasn't going to suit me, but not in a million years would I have picked up being a baby massage instructor, and I couldn't have possibly seen now having a global community like impacting millions of babies every day. You've got to have a culture that is infused with your values, so that the surrounding environment that you've created is also authentic. And people and team, they can either make or break your business. So I love my team. I value my team. I really celebrate my team, because without them, we wouldn't be able to scale and do what we do. My mission is to reach millions of babies. Now, if I don't have people in the family who are feeling supported, they can't support parents who support babies. What do you consider to be success or wealth? So for me, like with my Love Millions business, my wealth is connection, is community, it's care, it's relationships. So wealth of relationships is what gives me joy. Honouring yourself, your mission, and really working out what wealth means to you. Like social isolation is one of the most damaging things to our mental health. Challenging times personally. I was married for 23 years. I got divorced about 3.5, 4 years ago now. That was very challenging because of my values and my family. 100%. You just got to start at the beginning. You get a new chance with every 380,000 babies born every day. That's humanity renewing itself. We've got the best chance in the world. You've got hope right there.
If you were on your deathbed and you could leave one lesson, what would that be?
So love everyone and be authentic, tell the truth, and then you're always centred in your values.
It's of vital importance, isn't it? I mean, we're happy when we're living in alignment with our values. If we're not, if we don't know what our values are, how can we live in alignment with them? It's pretty tricky. Truth is, most men are so instilled in them not to speak, not to talk, not to show any sort of vulnerability or any weakness. It's a skill, isn't it? It's training, and I always call it mental fitness. I'm a big fan of that as opposed to mental health when talking with men about it, because it is fitness. We know the statistics, 3/4 of suicides are male. For us, from a man under 45, it's the greatest threat to a life. But the statistic that doesn't get spoken about very much is that 2/3 of those male suicides come from men who have had no previous mental health intervention. You hear the stories of they seem fine, next day they're gone. One of the first things we do, which is another really powerful thing, we get everyone, literally it's such a simple question, come in and just say, why are you here? Well, very sadly, I lost a great friend of mine in 2020 who sadly died by suicide. My long-term goal is, I think we spoke about before, is if the moonshot idea would be to reduce that suicide rate amongst everyone, but particularly amongst men. It's brilliant technology, it's great how it's advancing, but don't forget where we've come from and what actually gives us our soul and gives us our unique spirit. And just looking at him, just locking myself in there, looking at him, just hating myself. I had no sort of sense of self-worth at that time, and just hated everything about myself, really. I was in a real low sort of place. The only time I ever really contemplated even thinking about taking my life, if I'm honest, at that point. That's why I think it's so important that people are able to, we're talking about emotional intelligence, people being able to speak candidly and openly about their emotions and learn to talk about their emotions. It's essential. Live in alignment with your values, knowing what your values are. If I can get to the end of my days and I think actually I've spent more days living in alignment with my values, then I'd say that's success for me.
I started out in a council estate in Dundee with a mum and dad who weren't very well off. So I worked on one case which was really messy, and it involved sales conferences, sex, one-night stands. I did the accountancy because I thought it would give me some opportunity to earn an income. And I think that was something that was driven by my mum as well, because my mum was very much about being independent as a woman. For me, in life, it's about being happy. Look, life isn't all a bed of roses. We have to deal with rubbish days, we have to deal with stuff going on. But I think in general, it's about do what you can to make yourself happy. Managing stress and trying to reduce stress for me is really important, and I think, you know, I would say that's one of the challenges that I think you face in a business. I didn't set out and say, right, these are the 5 values or 6 values.
Sure.
I think those evolved, but the values that we've now got in the business are probably the values that I've always had and always aimed to sort of, you know, create a business that reflected those. So I think, in short, one of my biggest things is I want to be treated in the same way as I'm treating somebody else. I think admitting that you've got something wrong is actually a strength. And I think for me, and I think that's where people sometimes fall down, is not accepting that actually failing is actually admitting that you've made a mistake is a strength, because that's the only way you learn. Still, one of the top reasons why people leave jobs is the manager, yeah. It's absolutely core to everything is communication. My goal in life is to make myself redundant. I've got to find the people around me that are better and make myself redundant. I have made mistakes, but we all do, and and you've got to move on from them, but learn from them.
That was it. I was done. So I quit the job. I had nothing to go to. I just wanted my life to be different. What drove me and the inflection points almost, I think it comes down to failure in a way. And I failed so many times in my life, and it was a risk, but it did well. It paid off. We had quite a good successful company until we hit the housing crash in 2008 and the financial crisis. And I'm a big believer in fairness, and I think in life we all need to win. You know, it doesn't have to be big wins, but I think where one person gets pushed down, where another person can rise up and they exploit them, that sits poorly with me. I had a massive curveball thrown at me when my brother sadly died at the age of 30, leaving 3 kids under the age of 7. Lockdown, all of those appointments, all of that prospective work, toilet. So we had no clients, no revenue, no external shareholders, all of this hope, dreams, aspirations, bankrolled by my redundancy, and the world then fell apart. Gyms are closed, got no work, got no money, can't see people, can't generate work. That was almost rock bottom. You've got 2 choices, I think, in business. You either push on and you do everything it takes to succeed, or you lay on your back and fail. And I've done both. I am keen to show the alternative side of success and business and people, and be open about how difficult stuff is. We've all lost loved ones, we've all had success or failure in business, we've all lost pets, etc. But what gets us through it is through talking. I want to leave this world a better place. I want to leave every relationship and experience and people that I come across with better from our interactions. And it's not about winning, it's just doing the right thing.
I had no money, I had no equipment, I'd sold most of the equipment to try and pay the bills. So yeah, it was a pretty dark place, and I remember standing on a bridge at one point on the way home from the pub thinking, I'm better off not being here. I think I was quite a scared kid, terrified of school. Could not think of anything worse, and hated school. No, you've got life, unfortunately, and no one gears you up for how shit it is and how hard it is. You've been in this educational bubble for so long, you come out the other end, and then you've got bosses shouting at you, you've got to work hard and you can't pay the mortgage, and car breaks down and you've got to put on a credit card and you can't afford to pay the credit card, and then you have your heart broken. All of a sudden it's all quite a lot, isn't it? And that's just the very beginning of it all, and all I want is you to be happy. I don't care if it makes you a lot of money, I don't care if you're skint, as long as you're happy, because life is too short to be miserable. Don't have regrets, try everything, mess it up, and keep going forward, because you can't go backwards, you can't change anything. So learn from whatever has happened and go forward and be happy. I think life's too short, and I think losing people earlier on in my life really highlighted that. Like, they were chasing dreams and they were chasing drugs and everything else, and it all went wrong, and then now they're not here anymore. And life's hard, and there's been young people who I've witnessed and have taken their own life, to people who have been in their late 40s. I think society has a lot to answer for all that. All the pressure we put on people to perform, to have these things, because that's success. And we spoke earlier about the levels of success. Just be bloody happy. Find something that makes you happy. Hopefully give people a bit of hope that you don't have to chase money, chase happiness, and money will come with that. Because if you're happy, then you're doing right things and maybe helping people, then money will come after that. And I'm starting to see that now. So that was the beginning of the end, unfortunately, for the Naked Gardener, because the work started cancelling. I had to get rid of the lads, sold the digger, sold most of the trailers, and it went back just me and the dog. And then eventually went bankrupt. And I hear this a lot on different podcasts, and it's normally from billionaires and they're selling you some course or something. And I'm not a billionaire, I'm still skin. But bloody hell, I'm happy. I love it.